Hello, everybody. This is Rob Fredette with the podcast Hodgepod, back for another episode, and we're delving into the world of golf, and I'm looking forward to this conversation. Todd Graves is my guest today on this episode, and he has quite the career in golf, and I am really thrilled to talk to him. And Todd, welcome to Hodgepod. I'm really looking forward to having you on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here.
Yes, sir. So, first of all, if you would introduce yourself, if you would, please, and then we'll talk about golf because I'm really interested in learning about what you have to say.
Yeah. My name is Todd Graves. I run a company, an organization called Graves Golf, and it's Graves Golf Academy. We teach exclusively the single plane swing of Moe Norman. And if people aren't familiar with who Moe Norman is, he's a Canadian golfer that was relatively unknown until about 1995. He was maybe regarded as autistic, but the players that knew Moe regarded him as the greatest ball striker that's ever played the game. And my career has been built on being a professional golfer. I played golf at the University of Oklahoma, and then I turned professional in 1991, and I traveled to the Asian tour. I was kind of on a mission, not only to become a better golfer, to play on tour, to make a living at playing the game, but I was, I'm a avid lifetime athlete that loved the game of golf and wanted to make a career out of it. And so I played on the Asian tour in 1991, and I continued to play, and I got, relatively frustrated that I wasn't improving very much. So when I returned from the Asian tour, I was over there for about a year. I started really diving into how to improve in the game, working with the best instructors in the world, started traveling around. I always tell people that no one's spent more money than me on golf instruction. I'm not sure I'm proud of that or not, but yeah, so I just started working with the best in the world. These were the guys that were successful on the tour, and they were giving me advice on who I should work with. And 3 years later, 1994, I was actually much worse than when I started. I really was very frustrated. Didn't really know. There was so much information, some good, some bad, that was in the golf world, and it still exists. The same thing really exists today. And so I was on the verge of just saying, hey, I'm not getting any younger, and it's difficult, and I'm not getting better, and I'm not making any money, and I'm broke. And so I took a job. It was interesting. I took a bartending job in Dallas, Texas. And the reason I was in Dallas was because that's where my instructor was, my golf instructor. And all my sponsors, my original sponsors, were the same sponsors as Elite Trevino at the time. So back in the day, so I was well connected. And I just didn't know what I was going to do. I'm working in the bar, but the reason I was working in the bar at night is because I could play golf during the day and work on my game, and then I could have a job at night. So I was kind of on that, still in that mode of like, I still want to play this game, but I just don't know what I'm doing. And then it was just so happened I was in my apartment in Dallas, and a good friend of mine, my college teammate and roommate, was a very good player. Her name is Matthew Lane, and Matthew had won the New Zealand Open. And Matthew was one of the best players that I knew, and he was extremely talented. And he had played the Canadian tour, and he came back, and he's in my apartment. And he goes, Todd, he goes, you got to see this videotape I have. And he put this videotape in my VCR. If you guys remember VCRs.
Oh yeah, the VHS.
Yeah, this massive piece of thing, whatever it is. and he put it in my VCR, and it was Moe Norman. It was Matthew. He had played the Canadian tour, and he was hitting golf balls with a guy named Moe Norman. And I'm watching this video, and now I knew who Moe Norman was, because anybody in the golf world kind of knew this mysterious Canadian guy that everybody talked about, that would crawl out from under the rock once in a while and show up, and everybody was just amazed by him. And I'm looking at this video, and I was amazed. I was amazed at what I was seeing on this video, because the swing, all the stuff that I had kind of seen and learned from all these instructors, what Moe was doing on that video was just much more common sense and easier. I was drawing swing plane lines on it, going, Moe is perfectly on plane, and he's doing it so easily. There's no contortion of his body. And Matthew turned to me and he goes, Todd, he goes, and I really respected Matthew as a player. And he said, Todd, the guy's a freak. He goes, I've never seen anything like it. He's the best ball striker I've ever seen. And that's not the first time I had heard that about Moe Norman. So I started looking at this tape. And so I took that videotape and I started practicing, mimicking whatever I saw on that tape. I'd go out to my teacher's academy and just copy what I saw. And I immediately started improving. My ball striking started getting better. Everything started getting easier. I understood what was going on. A much easier way to hit a golf ball. Well, it just so happened that later on that year, I mean, I got into the world of Moe Norman and the people that knew him and stuff. I was invited to meet Mo at a clinic in Chicago. And so I went to Chicago and I met Mo and I walked up to him and I didn't even know who he was, but I had a whole list of questions for him. And Mo was autistic. He was very hard to get close to. He would just walk away if he didn't know you. He just didn't want to associate with people. He's very introverted, but he was really good with a golf club in his hands. Like if he had a golf club in his hands, you'd be just and doing a clinic. He'd be social. He'd be having fun with you. Put the golf clubs down, walk into the pro shop. He doesn't want to talk to you, right? So that's kind of the way Mo was. Well, after Mo finished the clinic, by the way, when I watched this ball striking clinic, if you're a golfer, the most impressive thing, he hit it perfectly straight, dead solid. It was just amazing watching him hit golf balls. And I'd played all over the world on tours, and I'm like, this guy is as good as I've ever seen. But the sound of the golf ball was what got me, because it was just that piercing sound of a perfectly struck shot every single time. And so after the clinic, I walked up to him and I said, hey, you mind if I hit a few of your clubs there? Because all his clubs were scattered on the ground. Mo would do a clinic. It looked like somebody had thrown a garage sale out there. There was clubs everywhere. And I started hitting his 8-iron, and Mo looked at me and he goes, ooh, it's me without a belly. It's me without a belly. He started looking at me because I'd been mimicking a swing for a year, and he recognized I had copied him. And then I just became his friend, and I started talking to him about his swing. And I said, I'm going to be better than you. I want to learn what you're doing here. And so for the next 10 years, he mentored me. And it didn't take 10 years. Within about 2 years, I had pretty much picked up everything that he was doing. And I mean, and I was just amazed by it. It was so biomechanically simple of what he was doing to be as good as he was. And so that's what I did. And I built my entire academy and my entire life around teaching people what Mo really had shown me and what he does in a golf swing. And I've also studied all biomechanics behind it. I mean, there's a reason why he was able to be that great, and it all comes down to the way he positions his body. So that's what I've been doing, and that's really what the new book is about. I used AI to help validate some of these principles, and actually AI was able to help me clarify some of the things that because Mo would say things to me that were cryptic, like I dropped the club vertically in the downswing. What does that mean? Right? I mean, so I had to kind of interpret all this stuff, but it's kind of where my whole career went with me, and then I built an entire academy around that.
That's awesome. And the book is named The Single Plane Golf Swing. Is that correct?
That is my first book. The new book is called The Intelligent Golf Swing, and I had AI unlock, because Mo would say things that were cryptic, and then I had to match the biomechanics to those things, and then. And the way I teach golf and what Mo had discovered, because I look at Mo's golf swing as a discovery. And the reason I look at it not as a method, but as a discovery, because when you put your body in certain positions, you create limitations with it. For example, if I tilt you in a certain direction, you can only rotate so much. So the positions you put your body in create it's a natural motion. So your body, your arm can only go so far, your hips can only turn so much, your feet can only go so far. And what Mo figured out was nothing more than if you position your body in a specific way, the swing actually comes out of you. It actually can't go anyplace else. And that's what Mo figured out. And we call it a single plane swing, because it's so common sense. If you saw this thing on video, and you can watch some of my videos on YouTube, or you can go to my channels, you would look at my swing and go, why doesn't everybody swing that way? And it's a good question. And the reason is because the way conventional golf is taught, the same problem I had when I was trying to learn the golf swing from all these instructors, was they keep teaching you to stand and hang your arms down below your shoulder, straight down. I don't know if you've ever had a golf lesson before, but they have you stand with your arms hanging straight down. And they call it athletic. Okay, you're standing there with your arms hanging down. But biomechanically, you will never impact a golf ball with your arms hanging straight down, because when you swing the golf club, your arms are moving, the club is moving, and everything's trying to line up into an alignment. The arms and the club are trying to get into a line. So because when you're hanging your arms straight down, you don't have room for that. So you jump and you lift and you turn and you do all these things that stress the back out. Most golfers have back problems. They have back pain because of this problem they're creating at the very address position, which I call two planes. What Mo figured out was, if you tilt your body the right way and you put your arms straight out, aligned with the golf club, you create a single plane, and then you just return it back to that same plane. If I gave a kid a stick and I said, hey, my grandson, come over here and take this stick and hit that beer can that's on the ground right there.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to point the stick directly at the can. He's not going to hang his arms below the shoulders. He's going to point the stick at the thing he's hitting. And that's what Mo figured out. He figured out biomechanics, like how does the body want to hit something that's on the ground, and he lined everything up. And it's really a discovery of just pure biomechanics. And Mo figured it out because he's autistic. That's the way his brain worked.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like when I watch golf tournaments on television, the golfers when they're driving the ball, it's like they're seamless when they're doing it, and there's just it goes what 300 yards
Yeah.
without even any force. You don't need to use force.
Yeah. Yeah. The club will do the work for. I mean, the club's a 3-foot lever, and it's fast, right? It's built to go fast. And if you use your body correctly and use the way the body is designed, you can get the club to do its job. I always tell people, you spend so much money on your golf clubs. Drivers cost $600 now. Use that thing. Quit using yourself so much. Use the club. I always tell people, just do it right, and the club does the work. But yeah, you got to do the right. You got to get the body positioned right.
So talk about you were an assistant coach at the University of Oklahoma, and you were it was the national championship team. Talk about that because that must have been a great thrill.
Oh, I was actually very fortunate when how I got on the team at OU. I actually played at OU, then I coached the team. I was working, so I tried to play at Oklahoma State University when I was right out of college, and I didn't have a scholarship. I had a couple of scholarship offers from some local universities, some smaller colleges. I didn't really want to go to any Division II schools, and I wanted to get a Division I education. So I go to Oklahoma State. Kind of followed my brother because he was at Oklahoma State, and I kind of got the bug again to play on the team. So I went to the coach of the team. I said, "Hey, I'd like to get on the team here." He goes, "We don't have room for any more players on the team. Plus, Oklahoma State was the best team in the country. Scott Verplank, Bob Tway, all these amazing
Wow.
players at Oklahoma State." So I was kind of, well, I can't really play here. Well, I won the intramural tournament at Oklahoma State. So I win the intramural tournament. And I was like, I'd like to play the game again competitively. So I went and took a job in Norman, Oklahoma at a local golf course because the pro there, he was a good friend of mine, and he was one of my mentors growing up. And I was working in the bag room downstairs in the golf course, and Todd Hamilton comes out. Todd Hamilton won the British Open in 2004. At the time, Todd was on the Oklahoma team, and Todd came out to play the back nine, and I saw him out there. I didn't really know who Todd was. I just knew he played for OU with another guy named David Sheffield. So I asked the pro, I said, "Hey, do you care if I go out there and play with these guys?" And he said, "Nah, it's slow. Go play with these guys." Well, I went out there and I played really well with them. And after I walked off the 18th green with Todd, he goes, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, tried to play at Oklahoma State. Couldn't really get on the team there." He goes, "Do you want to play on the team here?" I'm like, "How do I do that?" And he goes, I'll have the assistant coach call you." So the assistant coach calls me, and he said, "Listen," he goes, "Todd, he says you need to be on a team somewhere." He goes, "We'd love to have you try out for the walk-on tournament here at OU." He goes, "We're going to have a walk-on tournament, 6 rounds. Do you want to play?" I said, "Of course, I'll play." I made a 10-footer on the last hole to win the tournament to walk on the team. And as I made the 10-footer, I had to make it. I mean, I was almost. I didn't play well the last round. As I make the putt, he puts his arm around me as I'm walking off the green. The assistant coach does, and he goes, "Thank God you made that putt." I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because we had this whole walk-on tournament for you to get on the team. We had to have a way to get on the team." I was the first walk-on at the University of Oklahoma.
That's a
So I
great
so
story.
so so I walked on the team. So anyway, I walked on the team. It was a tough team to play on. I mean, I was not a very good player compared to the Grant Waits, Todd Hamilton, Glenn Day. The players on my team were amazing. We finished third, second, first in the national championship the years that I was going through
Mhm.
OU. And then I injured myself my senior year. I had an injury, and then it was actually my middle of my junior year. And the head coach, Greg Gross, said, "Hey, we would love to have you, help me with the team." And because I knew all the players, they're all really good friends of mine. So I coached the last year and a half I was there. And so we won the national championship in '89 when I was the coach. Yeah.
That's amazing. That must have been a great thrill. Anytime a national championship, doesn't matter what
Uh,
sport, it's great.
I mean, I look back at the pictures. Matter of fact, I still talk to Coach Gross. I talked to him the other day. We still have a really good relationship. It's just so fun. I mean, it's just such a good experience, and the players were so amazing. I mean, I always tell people my recommendation is if you want to get better at golf, go get beat up by players that are better than you, because that's instantly what happened to me. It steps up your standard, because my standard was it was what it was. I don't know how good I was. I didn't know. But when I started playing with guys like Todd Hamilton and Doug Martin and Glenn Day and Matthew Lane and all the guys that played the national championship and won, I was like, these guys are amazingly good. And you just lift your game up to that level. Even though I wasn't one of the best players in the team, I became a really good player because of it. I became a lot better. And that's really what you got to do is you got to go get beat up so you learn where your weaknesses are. And it was just a great experience. So I really reflect back on that a lot.
You follow the OU football and basketball teams?
Oh, I'm a huge OU fan. I'm huge. I'm huge. Yeah, I love. I mean, I can't.
Awesome.
I was actually asking one of my guys that works for me. I was like, "Is OU playing this week?" And I don't know. I guess we're waiting to see if they're getting the playoffs or not. But OU's not playing this weekend. I was like, "Oh, I always look forward to my Saturdays
I
watching
know.
OU." I
I
know.
think that they are in the playoffs, right? Yeah.
I think they're ranked 8th, so they're going to get in.
Yeah.
I think. I mean,
Yeah.
we still don't know, but I think they're going to get in. I don't know who plays this weekend, but it sure would be nice to watch some good football. I love my Saturdays watching football.
I remember the old days back with the football team there with Barry Switzer, Brian Bosworth, and Jameel Holloway.
When I was there, that's when I was there.
Oh, really? Oh,
Oh,
wow.
I always tell my wife, I was like, yeah, I met Bosworth one day. I was walking through the parking lot at the thing, and I said, your lights are on, and he said, thanks. That was it.
I remember when he was at OU and they were playing in the Orange Bowl, and he had the shirt "National Communists Against Athletes."
Yeah.
I'll never forget that.
Remember the painted hair? He had the painted hair.
He was awesome. He was number 44. You can't forget it.
The Boz, man. I love the Boz.
It was awesome, and I think he and Switzer were a good match together. But I remember Marcus Dupree played for OU too, I guess in the mid '80s, and he was a unbelievable running back. But yeah, the Boz, man, he was the man. He was the
And
man.
it's funny, Switzer. I coached when Switzer was coaching, and I went to 30 coaches meetings where all the coaches had to meet for whatever's going on in the OU athletic department. I never saw Coach Switzer at any of the meetings. I think I saw him at one meeting. He was kind of exempt from the other coaches meeting.
All right, I just want to digress there because I love nostalgia and talking about the Boz, and I remember the great OU teams of the '80s when they went to Nebraska. It was great football. So talk about your golf academy, if you would, please, because you've taught thousands of students.
Yeah, I built a company to teach. Really, I mean, I started getting invited to teach groups of people, and really how the whole thing evolved. My brother and I we were both playing professional golf, and people would always I'd go play a tournament, and people would see what I'm doing with the swing, and they'd say, "Hey, can you teach me?" And so many people were reaching out to me to show them what I learned from Moe and the single plane swing. And so I told my brother one day, I was like, we should put together a little teaching organization and just help people as much as we can. So we started putting together these golf schools, and we'd literally we'd play an event and we'd teach 10 people after the event. We started doing this thing, and my brother's like, I think I'm making more money teaching than I am playing right now. so I said, this is really a bad gig. So it just kind of grew from there. And I'll never forget my brother one day, because when I did, when you teach a lot, you build your kind of, you presenting 10 times, you start presenting it consistently. My brother goes, he goes, I need to video the presentations we do at schools. So my brother just throws up a camera and videotapes a presentation. And there was airplanes flying over, and there was all this noise, and my brother goes, I want to sell this video. So my brother starts selling this video of me and him teaching the single plane swing, and it becomes this really, really great selling product for us. It was a terrible video, but we sold a bunch of videos, and all of a sudden, next thing we know, we're producing instructional videos. We had a best-selling DVD in 2010. We sold 1 million copies of a DVD called The Single Plane Solution. And then we turned that into an online academy. So we started teaching courses online, and then it just grew up from there. So pretty soon now we're teaching tons of people. We have a huge database of customers. We're doing schools all over the U.S. Orlando. We started putting locations together where we do schools, traveling everywhere. I got a place in Orlando and Phoenix. And we just blew the company up just teaching the single plane swing. And then we got to the point now where we're like, well, we need some control over a facility because we having so many people we're teaching. So I bought it. So they closed a golf course down here in Edmond, Oklahoma. I had built Academy here in 2003. I built a building. I basically leased the space on the driving range. I built my own building, and we were teaching here. Well, they came in and closed the golf course down to develop it. I came back and bought back a large portion of the golf course, and I bought the clubhouse and I put together an academy. So we have a 6-hole golf course with a full driving range, academy, and a clubhouse. And it took about 3 years to get the project done. We've been in here about a year now. But yeah, we have a membership right here in Edmond, Oklahoma, and it's a fabulous 6-hole golf course. It's built for training. I just had Dr. Gil Morgan out here the other day. We were playing and hitting some golf balls. It's amazing. It's a great place, and it's certainly nice to have the control over a facility where I can, before, if I wanted to take a student out and take him on the golf course, I couldn't do it because I didn't own the golf course. I couldn't book a tee time. It was crowded. I couldn't take a space. Now I can say, let's go to number 3 because
Yeah.
I own it. So
Well,
so
you got the small golf course. I mean, it's very intimate, and you're able to not rush, and you don't have to worry about people golfing. You can go at your own pace. It's probably great practice for your students.
it's great, and the students love it. They come here, they spend a day working with the instructors. We have 6 instructors on staff here. They work with the instructors, and they can spend the day practicing. And they can go have a great time on the course. It's just a great experience, and it's a really great place to develop your game. And it's really what I was dreaming about when I was thinking about this. When I was here, I was like, I got to have my own facility where I can have control over it, and people can have a great experience. So we really enjoyed it.
That's awesome. And you mentioned the academy. Do you use like videotape to have your students look at their videotape and
Yeah.
and you see probably the tendencies that probably they shouldn't be doing? What's that like when they improve?
Yeah, we do it. We do that online as well. They come to the academy. Obviously, we do all the technology here. We can get them. We do actually. Our range actually has Top Tracer on the range. You can actually get on your iPad and track all your shots and everything. So we have all the technology that's on the driving range. But in our studios here, we have all the technology to study swings and look at you on video. But we do that online, and we have over, I think, 2,500 members online that are sending videos to our academy, and our coaches are sending back instruction through our app. So you can get all that instruction. We can analyze your swing online. We can do it remotely if you live somewhere where you can't make it to the academy. So we do that all the time. But obviously it's a really good experience if you come here, and we do it here because we do it in person too. But then we have our golf schools. We have 3-day, 5-day golf schools that go on here. We do about one a week, whether we're here or in better weather. Sometimes when it's cold like it is now, we're in Orlando or Phoenix. So yeah, we pretty much full-time golf instruction. And I have a studio here where I teach out of. Sometimes, like these podcasts, I'll be in studio. I'll be able to do stuff live in studio too. I have a TV show tomorrow that I'm doing from studio here. So yeah, we do it. I mean, we're fully in golf completely all the time here.
Yeah, you mentioned Orlando. Years ago when I worked in the food service business, I had the opportunity to go. I worked at Pro Player Stadium in Miami, so in our off season, we went to go help out the PGA show in Orlando. Yep. Man, oh man, I worked 2 of those. That thing was awesome. It was just like massive.
What years was that? I've been there for the last 20 years.
96 and 97.
Yep. Oh yeah. I've been there.
Amazing.
Yeah. Massive. Well, back then though, it was even bigger than it is now. It's still big, but back then it was massive.
I mean, it was just like, I was just blown away. Just I mean, all the booths and the people, and it was, and it's the perfect place for it. Orlando. I mean, it's perfect.
Massive.
I think it was in January or February.
It's in January, end of January every year. Yeah.
Yep. So I found that was a good destination to go to. So talk about also AI. AI plays a big part in your academy. What's that? And maybe for your book. So talk about that, because AI is taking over everything.
AI is interesting. We have used AI, especially in my marketing side of my business. We have 4 or 5 people on our marketing team. And, I really wasn't that familiar with AI until my marketing team started using it to work with writing our copy for some of our marketing emails and some of the stuff we were doing. And so AI became kind of this interesting tool we were using to help us clarify our writing. Even we would go in there and maybe write an email, and AI would help it. And so when I started looking at AI, I was actually in Pebble Beach, which is kind of a golf capital of the world, in Pebble Beach. And I teach out there. I'm literally in Pebble Beach almost every other weekend. And the problem with this, and this was February of this year, and it gets dark at 5:00 at night. So I can't really coach after 5:00 because it's dark outside. So I'm always in my hotel room at about 5:30. And so worst part about traveling, as you know, is the downtime in hotel rooms. I mean, I can handle all the coaching all day long. But that damn hotel room at 5:00 at night, from time you go to bed, I can only watch so much TV. I can only read But anyway, so I'm in there, and so and I have a pretty popular YouTube channel, so I get a lot of questions on my YouTube channel. And I love the people that I love the haters. Those are the fun guys because they're always, talking about this and that. And so I took a couple of the comments and I put into AI and I said, "Hey, how would you respond to this in a very professional, way?" And so I started getting into a conversation with AI about how you would respond to some of these questions. And pretty soon I have this kind of long dialogue going with AI. Now, if you've never played around with AI a little bit, once you've prompted AI with enough of your information, it really starts understanding exactly what you do. So I had prompted AI enough to know what I was teaching, who I was, Moe Norman, all the background. It pretty much had most of the background. And so then I asked the question to AI, would you like me to teach you the single plane swing? And of course, AI came back and says, of course, I'd love to learn the single plane swing. So I thought to myself, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start from scratch. Like it's a beginning golfer that I'm teaching with words only. And I'm going to teach AI everything I know that Mo taught me about the single plane swing. And so I just went in there and I started just putting in, just like I would present to you if you're a beginner, from every little thing that I could, you know, put into that AI and prompt it. And then all of a sudden AI comes back and it starts prompting me with questions. So, and here's the thing about it. And if you have a chance, I always tell my friends, you need to do this, go through this process. The problem with most conversations, what I have found with people is it's not objective. Conversations are not objective with people. For example, if I showed somebody the single plane swing, they would say to me, why doesn't Tiger do it that way? Right? So they're already biased. They're already biased by Tiger Woods or what they've seen on TV. Everybody, believe it or not, whether you think so or not, everybody, even me, is biased at some level when they receive information. AI is not biased. So I finally realized that I'm actually having a conversation with the most unbiased person in the room, right? He's only asking because he's curious. He's only asking for more information to assimilate the information. And I literally for 3 nights in Pebble Beach, I'm having this dialogue with AI, and it's asking me every question under the sun that's logical questions. It's even finding inconsistencies in the things that I'm teaching. Like, well, you said this before, Todd. Why don't you say it this way or what?
Man.
So it's even correcting me. And all of a sudden, three nights in a row, I mean, for 2 or 3 hours every night, maybe 4 hours every night, I have an entire manuscript of me teaching the smartest person in the room, the smartest objective person in the room, the golf swing. So I look at this manuscript and I'm like, wow, this is number one, it was conversational. Golf needs to be a conversation instead of like, here's your instruction book, do A, B, C, D. So I'm looking at this conversation going, this is a great way to present my information. So I put it together. Of course, I sent it to a couple of friends of mine and like a guy named Todd Herman, who wrote a book called The Alter Ego Effect. And Todd's a great author and he's written a great book. And I sent it to him first. I'm like, can you look at this for me? He goes, Todd, it's really good. He goes, this is really good. So I said, okay. So I sent it to my publisher and I said, I want you to look at this book. It's kind of an accident because it was my second book. And I go, this one kind of came out as an accident. My publisher loved it. They go, this thing is really cool. So AI even named himself. Like we created a persona, and he named himself. So he creates a persona out of himself, and then I teach this AI, this person, the single plane swing. So the book kind of was an accident, but it was such a good way to present what I teach. I could roll in what Mo had told me, and we could talk about what that meant. I could bring in the biomechanics, and we could get through that complicated stuff in a fun way where it was not real complicated, where it made sense. And the book just kind of evolved, and it was really fun. It's been the most fun book. I've had a blast with it. So that's how the book evolved. So when I told my publisher says to me, "Are you really going to tell everybody that you wrote the book with AI?" And I said, "I'm going to put it on the cover." I mean, because AI was a big part of helped me really clarify this whole messaging of it. And everybody who's seen the book has just loved it. Just loved the conversational aspect of it too.
That's awesome. Talk about when you were on tour. What's that like? Because when I'm watching TV, I only see the golfers when they're playing in action with people going, at the golf tournaments. But there's a lot of practice that is involved getting ready for the tournament, right? Because they just don't
Yeah.
show up, right?
It's a really good question. I was actually had a long conversation with a guy today who knew me. He was a guy that was working with one of my websites. He goes, Todd, I'm a big time golfer. I know all about your stuff. So we actually got in a big conversation about playing golf on the tour. And I'm good friends with a lot of tour players and like Bob Tway and some of the older guys out here that I used to compete against. And if I had to describe professional golf, I would say it like this: professional golf's great when you're playing well. There's nothing better, right? When your game's on and you're scoring well and you're the travel's not as hard, you're having fun with the game. It's one of the worst life experiences if you're not playing well. you know, you're sitting in hotel rooms missing cuts. You're not making any money because you're not making any money if you're missing cuts. There's no you don't get paid for showing up in golf. So it's one of those things where I think, if you ask any tour player, they're going to rate their experience on how well they're playing at the time. My experience was both. There was times when I absolutely loved it. I loved being out there. I love playing golf. I love getting better. I love competing. I love playing. And there's times when it was just miserable. You're in the middle of nowhere. You're not near your friends or family. When I was in India, it cost me $10 a minute to call home. So I couldn't even have a conversation with my family without spending $1,000. So there's things like that. But at the end of the day, when you watch the Rory McIlroys or the really successful players, they're flying in their private jets. They're getting out of there. They're spending time with their family. Life can be really, really good. I mean, I would say it's great. If you're one of the road warrior guys, like I spend a lot of time doing in a car, driving from event to event, and I was talking to Dr. Gil Morgan about this. If you don't know who Dr. Gil is, he's one of the winningest players ever on the Champions Tour, and he won 20 something events on the PGA Tour. He'll tell you that you better like to travel, because he actually said to me when I did an interview with him. He said that him and his wife decided that they were going to enjoy the travel part of it. They were going to make the best of the travel. So they packed up their cats and their family in a car, and they made the travel part of the adventure. And if you could do that, and not wishing you were home all the time, I think you can make golf a great lifestyle. As far as practicing, yeah, everybody out there practices their butt off. I mean, you can't afford not to. You have to, putting and chipping and scoring. These guys are working their butts off. You get to see during the weekend, you get to see the guys that are on top of their game that have put the work in, and you're getting to see some great shots. But those guys are grinding it out and working hard. And I really have a lot of respect for those guys, because it does take a lot. And there's a window. There's a window of about 26 years old, 24 to 26 till about 35. That's your window. That's your window. And then from then on, you're kind of, if you're having, Jack Nicklaus winning the Masters at age 46 is an amazing feat if you think about it. I mean, it's pretty old to win a major championship. So yeah, I mean, you got a window there. You got to play well. So I mean, I both loved it when I was playing well, and I struggled when I was traveling around and you're missing cuts all the time.
What's it like? One thing I always fascinated by watching golf, you'll see like a champion of a tournament in one year, and the next year they miss the cut. How does that happen in the same tournament? How does that happen?
Easy. It's easy. So much of the game is confidence too. And so much of the game is like, if you look at actually successful tour players throughout the year, they play well for a stretch. They won't play great every event. They'll play great for 3 weeks in a row and they'll make all their money in about 3 weeks.
Mm.
Three great tournaments, they make 3 or 4 million bucks. Boom. They had a great year. So guys like Scotty Scheffler and even the Tiger Woods that won one of every 3 events they play, they're rare. Those guys are rare. I mean, but most of the guys you'll see out there, they keep their card by playing good for a couple of weeks out of the year. Then you don't hear about them for the rest of the year. So it's just because the game is that difficult, and your confidence level, it doesn't take much to miss a cut. I think they ran a statistic that if you improved, like there's one player that barely kept his card, and if you'd improved his score by one shot per round for the year, he would have made like $3 million more just for one shot per round, right? That's how fickle the game is. That's how competitive it is, and especially now. So yeah, I think another big advantage to guys on the tour is how well they know the golf courses. Some golf courses you play well on because they suit you. If you're a guy who plays the ball straight or right to left, you might really like the courses that have a lot of dogleg left holes, But if you're a guy that plays a fade and all the holes dogleg left, you're hitting it through the fairway on the right all the time, you're going to be like, I hate this golf course. I don't play well here. So certain golf courses will fit your eye and fit your game. And I think that happens a lot on tour. And then you have the guys who have been out there for 10 years and they play a lot of the same golf courses every single week. And so if I'm a rookie on the tour and I've been out there for a year or 2 years, I haven't played all the golf courses. and I'm playing against the guy that's played this golf course for 10 years in a row, he's got a huge advantage over me because he knows the golf course and he knows his game on that golf course. I'm learning the golf course for the first time. So there's a lot of stuff on tour that goes like that. Another thing is that your tee time. Like if you're playing morning round, you play. So the way tee times work on the tour is you'll get paired usually morning, afternoon, or afternoon, morning on the first two rounds, and there's a cut. And what people don't understand is that the weather can be great in the morning and terrible in the afternoon, or vice versa. And you can get two pairings in terrible weather, and the other guy's got two pairings in good weather. So you might wake up and go, it's 35 degrees outside. I have to wear 4 jackets and my hands are freezing, but we're still playing. And then by the afternoon, this happened many times in Florida. It'd be 40 degrees in the morning. We're teeing off. We're freezing to death. We make the turn. I'm finishing my roundup. I'm on the 16th hole and it's 75 degrees.
God.
And the guys playing in the afternoon are hitting the ball 20, 30 yards further because it's warm. And I hit in a practice round. I hit driver wedge to the first green. In the tournament round, I hit driver 3-wood. And so that's the way golf is. And a lot of people don't understand that the pairing and the tee times can really affect the outcomes of the tournaments, which you never see because all you see is the score. And no one ever says, well, here's your score and here's the weather during that score. And they don't do that,
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I think that's a huge deal. Matter of fact, I talked to Dr. Gill about that. The weather is a big factor. Matter of fact, I said the best tournament rounds I played were because I got some favorable weather. I played in the best weather.
Yeah, weather is in any sport. And you talked about, making shots. It's always good to get that good play early so you don't have to worry about it towards the end. I mean, it's like any sport, like in the World Series, it's like this year with the Blue Jays, they had a chance in game 7 and they blew it in the rest of the game. It's like,
yeah,
you got to every putt, every drive, every swing of a bat, shot,
yeah,
everything. You can't always say it's going to happen later. That's how important it's a game of inches too, right?
yeah. Oh yeah. No, I mean, even more so, it's funny. I used to study really good players. Now, I'll tell you a quick story about Arnold Palmer, but I used to just watch good players, how they approach the game. And I used to study, like, I aspired, like Tom Watson was my hero. And when I grew up, and guys like Watson, and I liked his demeanor when he played. I like Palmer's aggressiveness, the way he played. I liked his persona. And I was watching Arnold Palmer. He played in a tournament here in Oklahoma City, and I was just a kid. And I knew who he was, but I was like, I was too afraid to talk to him. But I'm watching him, and he walks to the first tee. And as he's walking to the tee, I'm watching him. And he walks, and then okay, so just so tournament golf, there's usually a table. There's usually a scoring table. And at the scoring table, there's a rules official, and they're announcing who's walking up to the first tee. And you pick up your scorecard, and you pick up your pairing sheet, and you pick up a whole location sheet. And then you pick up your, you get your, everything's kind of right there on the table. You greet the players. They tell you the rules for the day, and then they announce the player, and then they tee you off. Well, I watch Palmer, and he walks over, and he grabs a pencil out of the box. And he takes the pencil out of the box, and I see him go onto the table on a piece of paper, and he scratches the pencil for about 15 seconds on the piece of paper. Just scratch, 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 scratch. Then he puts it in his back pocket. And I'm like, I know why he did that, because those dang scorecard pencils are sharp. And when you put them in your back pocket and you reach back there to get it out of your pocket, you stab your finger every single time and you bleed. And I've done it 100 times. Well, what Palmer was doing was he was scratching the tip off the pencil so he didn't poke himself with it. And I go, that's the stuff that I look at, because these guys have done it 1,000 times. And they just have this whole routine about them. So if you actually pay attention to what's going on, routines, the way they prepare themselves, the way they walk up to the golf ball, the way they clean their club, you can learn so much, not just the great shot they hit, but everything that goes into being a good player. And I tell people, look, just mimic some of this stuff. You'll get better just by watching the way they handle themselves, the way they present themselves, the way they walk up to the golf shop, the way they pull the club out. And when I walk up to my customers and their clubs are dirty, I'm like, what is going on? I go, one of the key factors to controlling a golf ball is a clean club face, And so it's the things like that, it's fun to be a golf coach, because you're like, why is that wedge dirty? Because the wedge is all about spin, and you want to spin the ball and you can't spin it because there's mud on the face, so.
Talk about too, like, you said you were on the tour. What's it like when you're putting and all the focus is on you? It's like when you watch any tournament, but like when the focus is on you, do you have to block out everything? Are you extremely focused on the ball? Like even if it's like 3, 5 or 7 or 10 feet from the hole?
You know what's so funny is the reason I don't play much golf anymore is because I miss being in that situation. Like I miss the meaning the meaning that was presented to a golf shot. Golf shots don't have meaning to me anymore. But when you're in a tournament, that shot has meaning. It's like there's a lot. I wouldn't even call it pressure. It just has some meaning to it. Make it or miss it. And you're always in process, and this is what good athletes figure out is you're in a process. It's the same process if you're standing in front of 1,000 people or 10,000 people or nobody. If you're going to make that putt, you got to read the putt, pick the right line the ball up, hit the right speed. I mean, it's the same process. It doesn't matter if there's anybody around or not. So I never ever felt pressure from crowds or galleries or people watching because I was always in a process. I just felt like I was always just in process. My goal is just to stay in process. Now, there's times when I came out of that and maybe got nervous for whatever reason. I remember my most nervous round I ever played was with my sponsors because if I don't play well, they're not going to sponsor me anymore. so, so, so I never cared about playing a big event. If you put me in the U.S. Open, I don't care. I'll play. But you take me with my sponsor who pays my check for my livelihood. That's real pressure. So I always hated playing with my sponsors. I hated playing with my sponsors and my agents, but I loved playing in competition. It's a weird thing, but because I always felt like these guys are judging me.
Yeah.
Because they can go sponsor somebody else. And I know that the gallery's not going to judge me because I'm just going to shoot a score and whatever happens. So I never really felt the pressure. I loved the pressure. I missed the pressure, actually. I really missed being out there hitting shots that had meaning on them, but I never really got too worried about what people were thinking and all that.
You probably had your sponsors there with clipboards there, when you're
I would have panicked. Yeah.
so so what is it like becoming an author? I mean, I've had authors on my book. You're a golf professional, but you've authored 2 books because there's a discipline with that as well, like in golf, right?
Man, I'll tell you, that's a really good point. I really authored my first book. That was a big challenge. It took me, the first book finished in 2014, but I bet you I started that 10 years before it. It just took me so long to get that dang book done. This one obviously didn't take me as long. I think that the great thing about being an author is it's a creative process. I'm a very creative type person, and it's so fun to reinvent your concepts into something that people can really get something out of. So, I mean, it's really about giving. When I put this information in this book and I want people to read it, I want them to actually fall in love with the game. I want them to enjoy it as much as I enjoy it, get something out of it, learn something, and then be able to apply that to their own golf swing. And I know for a fact that when people learn what I teach in this book and the single plane swing, they're going to be like, why haven't I done this my whole life? It's just such a better, easier way to hit a golf ball. So knowing that this book's going to be able to do that for people, and I love the creative process with it. And I'll tell you what, like being an artist and being in a creative process like this, I look at this book and go, what's my next book? Like I got another one. I got another one right here that I'm working on too. It's called Moe's 5 Discoveries. So I don't know. It's just really fun to be in creative process and knowing that that's going to help people. I think all that helps you so much. Matter of fact, I'll tell you this just as a side note. That's the problem I had with professional golf for me. It felt selfish. I know it sounds weird, but I tell people the thing I didn't like about professional golf was it just felt selfish. I'm out there playing golf, trying to shoot a low score to make money. That didn't feel that good to me, to be honest with you. I didn't feel like, I feel like the more successful I got, of course you can probably find ways to justify all that, but I just felt like, gosh, I just don't feel like I'm really contributing much by doing this. So it's nice to be a teacher. It's fun to be a teacher. It's fun to give back. It's fun. If you ask me what the most fun I have is when I see one of my students and they finally get a position right and they hit a great golf shot better than they've ever hit before, and I see the joy on their face. And I'm like, I didn't do that for you. I just guided you. But watching them have fun with it, that's better than winning a golf tournament to me.
That's awesome. And when you have people that you're helping, then you see how they improve, and who knows, they may be on the tour someday.
Yeah, I have a kid right now. His name is Roberto Labrija. He's on the Asian tour, on the tour I played on. He's a much better player than I was. He's amazing, and I just talked to him on the phone last week, but I did a podcast with him about a year ago after he won his first event on the Latin American tour, And he loves the game. He loves competing. He loves to play like I did when I was playing. And it is fun to see that I've been able to help him get to where he's at. Because his father and even he said he goes, I wouldn't even be out here if it wasn't for the help that I gave them about 3 years ago. That's just so rewarding to me. And I hope he'll get on the PGA Tour at some point. He's really that good. And it's fun to do that. It's fun to see him and just watching the joy that he's getting out of playing well and how good he's becoming is it's really fun for me.
I've had some authors on my podcast, many authors. Some take 2 years, 10 years. I've had, like you said, 10 and 15 years to write a book. And it's just, when you know it's done because you're always thinking probably what the next
Yeah.
chapter is, what the next part of the book is. So your mind's going there and then you're running your business as well. So it's not a job when you love it.
Yeah. No, I like to tell people, man, there's a lot of things that are part of my job that I don't love. If you put me in the accounting office with my CFO and I'm like, how fast can I get out of here? Right. But put me in the room with my creative team and man, we have fun creating videos and producing content and writing books and teaching, being in front of the studio, teaching. Tomorrow I'm doing a show on Channel 9 here in studio at the Channel 9 headquarters here. And I'm really looking, they're like, Todd, can you bring a net and your golf clubs? I'm like, not really. I can't really drag a net into your studio. So I've got to demonstrate the swing without hitting a golf ball tomorrow. So I don't know, but it's all fun. I said, I'll make it work. We'll figure it out. So
That's pretty awesome. And talk about too, wasn't the Ryder Cup this year, this past summer? Was it the Ryder Cup?
yeah, I wish I knew much about it. I didn't really pay much attention.
You know,
I know there's a lot of controversy around it. I know that Keegan Bradley, there's a lot of heat around him and the way he handled the whole thing. I know that it was in New York, right? They played in New York, and I heard there was a lot of controversy on how the spectators treated the
yeah,
European team. Yeah,
I was talking about that. At most golf tournaments, everything like when you contrast that to Augusta, the U.S. Open, and then you have the Ryder Cup. It was like UFC at the Ryder
yeah,
Cup. The crowd, it was unbelievable, man. It was like
yeah.
it's surreal watching it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem golf like at all. It's gotten so competitive. What happened to the gentleman's sport? But
I kind of like it though. I kind of like it when they get riled up.
oh, I love the patriotism. I always love that. But what's so funny is, I mean, I love the European players. Those guys are great. They're a different breed for sure. But I mean, those guys are fun. They're. I mean, I competed against a lot of them too. But I liked it. I like the competition. I like the competition. I don't think we did a good job this year of pairing. The pairings I don't think were great. But that's always the challenge with the Ryder Cup is the pairings they put together. There was a story I remember from the Ryder Cup years ago when I think I could be wrong on how the pairings were, but I think Davis Love was the captain, and I think Tiger was playing with might have been Steve Stricker. But I don't remember who the pairing was, but Tiger's golf ball, Tiger hit the ball so much farther than all the rest of the players that Tiger's ball, the player that had to get paired with Tiger didn't like his golf ball, and because when they played the alternate shot, and then when Tiger had to play the other player's ball, he didn't like his ball because it wasn't the right, compression and there was this problem with like we can't pair anybody with Tiger because everybody hates his golf ball. Right. So it's stuff like that. So there's always a little behind the scenes stuff that I'm listening to thing. And that's really interesting because I know that if Tiger played I don't hit it as hard as Tiger hits it. He's going to hate my golf ball. It's going to overspin. He's not going to love it. And I'm going to hate his golf ball because I can't spin it, stuff like that. So fascinating how they have to do that. But I think the pairings were a big issue in this last Ryder Cup.
I remember this was 25 years ago, the Ryder Cup, and it was here in the United States. And I forget, I think Tiger was on the team and some other golf, but I remember David Duval was on the team. And I remember that there was a documentary and they talked about him. He was so reserved. And then he hit like a putt shot or something like that. And he put his fist in the air and he was, going crazy. And I'll never forget that. It's one thing I remember. They said he was reserved, but during the Ryder Cup, he really got into
Yeah. Yeah. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing about the Ryder Cup. It's really one of the only team events they play because it's an individual sport. Usually you're competing against those guys, right? And now you're rooting for those guys. And that's actually really cool. I mean, that's the college golf thing that we don't get to experience as a tour player. And I mean, there's nothing more fun than rooting for people that are on your team, hitting, especially like in a Ryder Cup where it's for your national, for the nation. But that is fun to watch those guys. And so you don't see those guys get too riled up like that unless they're doing it for their team, which is really cool. Yeah, I'll enjoy that too.
So what about so you're doing your teaching and stuff like that. So what is it like? Are you going 7 days a week with or you take some time off with all your instruction?
A normal day for me, we I run a business. We have a marketing team, we have a social media production team, we have another production team, I have a studio, I have the academy. So there's always a lot of stuff going on. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not much of an operator. I don't sit here all day long trying to operate everything. I have people that run the academy, and I have a marketing team that runs the marketing. I have a finance. So, the business runs. My days are usually in creative mode. I'm either producing more content. We do online instruction. I'll step in. My coaches are teaching online. I'll step in and do a session here and there in coaching. I occasionally will teach a golf school. We have events that happen here, and I'll teach a few days at each event. I may do presentations. I'll do ball striking exhibitions. And then I'll just deal with the business side of things. Matter of fact, like tomorrow, I got a meeting with the bank. I own this huge piece of real estate here where the academy is, where I'm not using half of it. We're going to sell off, and they're going to build houses on part of this thing. So I end up in a meeting with a banker tomorrow at 1:30 looking at real estate. So I don't know, business takes you in a lot of different directions like that when you're digging into it. What I love to do is just sit in front of people and show them the single plane swing and help them with the golf swing. I do that as much as I can. I have an online academy called Single Plane Academy. It's free. You can go to the online academy and join it. And I hop in, we call it the clubhouse. I can hop in there. I'll go live almost every other day and just talk to people that are inside the academy. So that's kind of my online academy where I join people and just discuss the swing. They ask questions. I can do that live. So I do that. It's kind of a broadcasting thing that I do on a at least every other day basis. So I try to spend as much of my time as I can presenting the swing and doing what I love to do and creating stuff with it. And then I try to spend a little time as possible on the business side if I can. It
Is
doesn't
that
always
on
work that way.
is that on YouTube, your academy?
The YouTube channel is Todd Graves Golf if you go to YouTube, but if you go to singleplaneacademy.com, that is my online academy, which you can join for free, and then you can get in there and the instructions in there, and then you have coaches in there. You can go talk to coaches and things like that.
So Todd Graves Golf on YouTube, right?
Yep, Todd Graves Golf on YouTube, and then go to Single Plane Academy to get the free academy.
That is amazing. And I want to thank you, Todd, for coming on my podcast. I really enjoyed talking to you about golf. And he's the author of The Single Plane Golf Swing and The Intelligent Golf Swing. And Todd, I'm really honored you came on my podcast because you are very busy, and I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you about golf and a little bit of Boomer Sooner tonight.
Yes, Boomer Sooner. Let's see. What's going to happen to the Sooners is they're going to get the 12th seed and have to play Ohio State in the first round. I just know that's what's going to happen. So at least we get there. So
yeah, well, that's all. I mean, there's just something about I love the OU on the helmet and their uniforms. And I remember when Bosworth played, he had the half cut shirt. I remember he was just a badass. He was really.
Oh yeah. The Boz was a badass. I love the Boz. I actually he's got a great story. Didn't they did a 30 for 30 on Boz, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah, they did.
I'll have to watch that. And then he's on those Dr. Pepper commercials too.
Well, yeah, he's made a career out of that. So it's great.
He was at the game.
Oh yeah.
This weekend. Yeah. They showed him on the sidelines.
He's at a lot of the games. I've only been to one game in the last couple of years, but yeah, he's almost at all the games here. So I'm not exactly sure where he lives, but yeah.
Well, Todd, thank you very much. Maybe we can come back and connect. Maybe when the spring comes around, we could talk some more golf and anything else you got going on. I'm really honored you came on.
Love to. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. And I really enjoyed talking to you. I appreciate that.